recently, Donald Trump signed the Defense Reauthorization Act, and in that signing ceremony and in his speech, he applauded himself and his White House for doing more for our troops and for our veterans. But the reality is that there are a number of regulations that are put in place in order to protect our troops from predatory lending that the Trump administration wants to do away with. And recently, they have done away with something that would protect them, something known as the Military Lending Act. They have decided to stop supervising financial institutions that continuously prey on our soldiers. Okay, so let me give you the details of what's going on. First, there's Mick Mulvaney. He is the interim director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That is the very bureau that is supposed to be supervising predatory lenders to ensure that they're not going after our troops and essentially pressuring them to take out loans that they can't afford, loans that usually have incredibly high interest rates. Well, the Bureau's supervisory staff typically conducted these checks to make sure that the lenders aren't charging military members exorbitant interest rates, pushing them into forced arbitration, or otherwise not following guidelines outlined in the Military Lending Act, a 2006 law that protects active duty military members and their families from financial fraud, predatory loans, and credit gouging. So now the CFPB is saying, yeah, we're not really gonna supervise anymore. You know, like we're just gonna let these lenders do what they wanna do.
It's true, it's Omarosa has it on tape. They sound exactly like that.
They don't have, no, Omarosa doesn't have it on tape, but we do have tape featuring Mick Mulvaney very openly sharing what his thoughts are on the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Remember, he is the temporary head of the agency while the Trump administration looks for someone to take his place. And so during Senate hearings, here is what Mick Mulvaney had to say about the CFPB.
Do you still believe that CFPB is a sad, sick joke?
Yes, sir, I do. And I'll be happy to tell you why. It is, to me, sir, one of the most offensive concepts, I think, in a representative government, which is almost completely unaccountable government bureaucracy.
So Mick Mulvaney goes to the CFPB. Again, this is an agency that's incredibly important. It was put together after the financial collapse in 2008 in order to protect consumers from predatory lending, right? And Mick Mulvaney goes in there and he's like, yeah, don't like any of this, dismantling it, sorry. And so that's what he's doing right now. And so don't be fooled when you hear that the administration cares about our military, cares about the troops, cares about our veterans. No, they don't. They care about the very financial institutions that fund their campaigns. Mick Mulvaney's top donors include Payday lenders. And so of course he's gonna wanna deregulate. Of course he's gonna wanna stop supervising and protecting our troops from these predatory lenders. I mean, it's of course gonna happen.
So, okay, first of all, the whole point is to protect consumers. So if you're a Republican, are you proud? Oh, we're not protecting consumers anymore. Okay, if you say, well, the average American, I don't give a damn about them, let the bankers crush them. I don't know what kind of conservative you are. It's not really a conservative position. But in this case, it's veterans. And these scumbags, the predatory lenders, that's what they are, target veterans at 4 times the rate of an average citizen. So when you see a veteran, you see someone you respect and that sacrificed for their country. When they see a veteran, they see a target. They see a mark. And Mick Mulvaney just came in and said, have at it, Hoss. You want to target veterans? There are a lot of veterans that are livid over this. And Army Colonel Paul Cantwell, for example, said, why do you think we have people standing guard in the military? And what he just did was he just took the people that were standing guard off the guard and just let people run in and defraud our veterans any way they like, basically. And that's his job. And why is it his job? Who pays his bills? The payday lenders, the predatory lenders pay Mulvaney's campaign donations. He works for them, he doesn't work for you. You think he cares about veterans? No, he cares about his donors. That's the only thing he cares about.
And it's not just veterans. Veterans are certainly included in these predatory tactics, but this also involves active duty members of our military who oftentimes are very young. They're out of high school, they have no credit history. And so since they're so young and financially inexperienced, they are a prime target of these payday lenders, of these predatory lenders, of these institutions. And so this Military Act of 2006 was so important, and luckily it's still in place. And the whole point of that was to ensure that these scumbags don't continuously target them with insanely high, unaffordable interest rates. And so in 2015, the Obama administration really did beef up that regulation to ensure that the CFPB was supervising these organizations to prevent them from, just leeching off of our military. By the way, the Bureau now says that it will only be able to take action against lenders when it receives a complaint. So they're not going to do anything unless, you go through the insane bureaucracy of reaching out to them and filing a complaint.
Yeah, and by that time, as some of the veterans are and their advocates are pointing out, it's too late. Your life's already been ruined. They've already foreclosed on your house. They've already taken everything you have, et cetera. Now, I'm going to tell you in a second how much money that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau had saved veterans and Anna's right active service members as well. Okay, so it's a startling number. That's a number that the bankers had ripped them off of, and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau gave them back. Okay, and so I'm going to save that for you in just a second. But understand that that's what they do. They look out for the service members. So the Military Lending Act, which was in place, but actually when you proactively regulate, as was happening in this case, it helped you to enforce the Military Lending Act. And that's why the bankers hated it, because they couldn't more effectively rip off people who'd served in the military, which again, they found to be really easy marks. So for whatever reason. What the guidelines were, you can't charge military members an annual interest rate of more than 36%. So it's not a tough standard. 36% interest rate is gigantic. Donald Trump bankrupted Taj Mahal because he took a loan that had too high an interest rate. You know what it was? 14%. And it was totally untenable and unsustainable. But yet they're willing to charge that to our service members and to average American citizens. And we're keeping him down to 36%. If we didn't have this law, they sometimes charge up to 300%.
Right.
So then the other provisions, they can't push them into forced arbitration because forced arbitration is rigged in favor of corporations oftentimes. They can't require them to allot portions of paychecks to pay back their loans. So that means they would just start taking it out of the service members' checks if they couldn't pay it back. But they might need that money for family, for their food for their family, for rent. Otherwise, they might be homeless, et cetera. But they would just grab their paychecks. And the Military Lending Act prohibited that, okay? And then the last one was creditors can't charge a penalty for early payment. Now that's mental. If I have the money and I'm willing to pay you so I don't have to keep paying that ridiculous interest rate, why can't I just pay you? They said, no, I'm going to charge you a penalty for being a good guy and paying ahead of time.
You know why? Because they want their interest.
Yes, because they want to rob you blind. So the Military Lending Act is great. And what is it? It's regulation to protect veterans and service members. So then on top of that, it was regulated in a way that they didn't wait for your life to be ruined. They were proactive. So what did that do? How much did that save? Proponents of the system say that it worked out well. And they say that the agency says it delivered more than $130 million in relief to service members since 2011 and handled more than 71,000 consumer complaints from them and their families. Is also taking enforcement actions after discovering lenders that broke the law. So several layers of regulation that you see there. What is the point of regulation? It is just laws meant to protect you. So you do regulation so that your local plant can't put toxic liquid into the nearby stream which your kids swim in. That's a regulation. In this case, you regulate the predatory lenders so they don't prey on our service members. That's regulation. You could do it before, in the middle, and after, and there's different gradations of it. And now Mick Mulvaney and the Trump administration said, don't worry about it. Let's see if they catch him afterwards. They'll catch him for a lot less. That's $130 million those lenders are gonna rob from our service members. Do you support the troops or don't you support the troops? And the reality is, progressives actually care about them. They're American citizens, and they signed up to protect us, etc. So we want to protect them. And what do conservatives say? And I don't think it's real conservatives, to be fair to conservatives.
Right.
I think it's the corrupt Republican politicians. They go, yeah, I don't give a damn about those people. It's a punchline for us. That ribbon you put on your car, support our troops, don't care. These guys pay our bills. Bankers pay my bills. Bankers, go rob them. Go rob them. So they saved $130 million for you guys. You think bankers pay, with all their army of lawyers, you think they pay $130 million because they didn't do it? So they're gonna do it again, and they're gonna rob them again because they just took the cops off the street. That's what these guys are. Mick Mulvaney is one of the most corrupt people we've ever had in government. Drained the swamp my ass. This is exactly what the swamp is. And by the way, the Military Lending Act is wonderful. Why doesn't it apply to all of us?
Yeah, it's a great point. That's a great point. And look, the whole point of the CFPB was to protect all of us. But I got to give credit to Elizabeth Warren. The CFPB was her idea, and she did grill Mick Mulvaney rather aggressively during Senate hearings. And what you're about to watch is an example of all the different ways Mulvaney has gone after the CFPB. Take a look.
In 2012, you voted in favor of a Republican budget that called for eliminating the agency entirely. Is that right?
I don't have a specific recollection, but that sounds familiar to me.
Sounds
yes,
familiar. Okay. But that was only the beginning. You also voted for Republican budgets that eliminated the CFPB in 2013, 2014, and 2015. Does that sound right?
Again, yes, ma'am. There were occasional Republican budgets I didn't vote for, and I don't know what was in them, but generally speaking, I see your point. Yes, ma'am.
All right. And in 2015, you also supported a standalone bill that would have killed off the CFPB. Is that right?
That's correct. I think I was a co-sponsor of that.
Yeah, he is now the interim head of the CFPB, which is fitting for the Trump administration.
Why do you think they want to destroy the organization that protects consumers? Come on, man, get your head out of your ass. If you're a MAGA guy, you're getting that red hat dirty. Okay, get your head out of your ass. They're not here to protect you. They're here to protect their donors. Come on, man, it's brazen. It's like, you want to protect consumers from bankers? No, we're the Republican Party. We love bankers. There's no other explanation. Oh, you think the banks are too regulated? Poor predatory lenders. What if they can't rip off service members and charge them 300% interest rate? Poor payday lenders. Does anyone in the country believe that? Anyone? You think that the victims are the bankers and the real thugs who shouldn't be protected are service members and veterans? Is that what you think? Okay, fine, then I guess you're that kind of animal. So Mick Mulvaney, one of the most corrupt guys, Donald Trump, who appointed him to be that corrupt, and he's very happy with him, to destroy any protection that whether it's service members or any US citizens get from the guys on Wall Street who want to rob you blind, have done it before, and now they're gonna get to do it even more. Two easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.